Fringe Fanatics with Chad Lee and Chris Zane.
And we are back. You are tuned in live to Fringe Fanatics. I am Chris Zane.
And I'm Chad Lee. Thanks for tuning in.
Yes, as always, we appreciate each and every one of you that tunes in each week with us. We appreciate you guys greatly. And if you haven't yet, please like, share, subscribe, and follow us on all things social media. And as always, make sure to subscribe and rate us 5 stars on whatever you are watching or listening to us on.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed, it is episode 70, Chad.
It is.
70.
We're up in the 7 zeros now,
Yeah.
man.
We've made it.
Yeah.
I don't know what 70 means, but we're there.
We're, that's 69 more than 1.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah.
And for episode 70, we are featuring RAYFIELD WRIGHT, offensive tackle for the Dallas Cowboys.
Yep.
Played for 13 seasons. He is a member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, having been inducted in 2006. He was nicknamed the Big Cat for his nimble feet.
Yeah.
Like me, light on the feet.
That's what you want out of an offensive tackle.
He played in 5 NFC Championship games. 5 NFC Championship teams that advanced to the Super Bowl in 70, 71, 75, 77, and the 78 seasons, winning twice. And he also participated in the heralded Ice Bowl against the old
just talked about recently
Green Bay Packers for the NFL Championship in his rookie season in 67.
So he had to be blocking for Roger Staubach.
Staubach, yes, sir. The old Roger Staubach.
Hell of an offensive tackle there.
Yeah, definitely. One of the greats. One of the first greats, really.
Yeah.
Number 70 wasn't the only number he wore either. He also wore 85 and 67.
85.
So
that's
he might
weird.
maybe when he was in college he wore he was a tight end.
Oh.
He was drafted as a tight end.
Maybe that's why he had nimble feet. He was
look
kind
at
of a little
this.
lighter.
Yeah, so I'm
we
learning
learned.
things as I go here. He was drafted in the 7th round of the 1967 NFL AFL draft, 182nd overall as a tight end. During his first 3 years with Dallas, he was a tight end, defensive lineman, and offensive tackle.
Wow.
In his 3rd season was when he finally became the starter as a tackle when Ralph Neely was sidelined by injury. So look at that, man. The guy did everything.
He's a versatile
Dude.
guy.
Yeah, big cat for real. The other big cat I remember is Andres Galarraga from the Colorado Rockies.
And then I always think of Rob Dyrdek's cousin, big cat. Yeah, I watch way too much Fantasy Factory.
Yeah, Fantasy Factory is good. His neck was broken for a good portion.
Oh yeah, for a long time. And they're like, he's like, it's not broken. He's like, keep wearing it. It's like your thing.
Yeah. Just keep wearing it for the rest of your life.
Damn right.
Career highlights and awards. Like I mentioned, 2-time Super Bowl champion, 3-time first team All-Pro through 71 and 73. Through those years. 3-time second team All-Pro 1974 through 1976. 6-time Pro Bowler 1971 through 76. And he was on the 70s All-Decade team and the Dallas Cowboys Ring of Honor.
Got him there before Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What are you going to do?
Yeah. Well,
don't overshadow the big boss.
Mr. RAYFIELD WRIGHT.
Indeed.
Number 70.
This bud's for you.
That's right.
Cheers to you, sir.
Cheers, we cheers. Yep, let's cheers to kicking off episode 70.
Episode 70,
Chris.
You guys drink whatever you're drinking and cheers us. And let's all be merry as we drink our libations, whatever they may be.
How was your weekend, sir?
It was pretty good, fairly event-filled. Merrill had market on Saturday, so I was getting a bunch of stuff done. Got some stickers done for the old family asphalt business on a new truck they bought, so I was doing some sticker stuff.
That's cool.
Did that Saturday. Sunday, watched football, went over and watched the Chiefs game with my pops.
Oh, I bet you guys enjoyed that.
Yeah, it was fabulous.
Oh,
I
yeah.
was excited about it. And then went home and watched the old NFC game.
Yep.
And then Monday night, last night, went to the High Dive.
Oh, yeah?
Indy 102.3, the radio station, was doing like a 303 meetup for the Fast Eddie, who we featured on the show. They were the featured artist of the month in January for 102.3.
Oh, that's right.
So they were playing like a show, which was pretty cool. Their drummer, I don't know, I probably mentioned it when we had them on, but he got diagnosed with cancer. So he's been dealing with that, and it was his first show in a while, and hopefully not his last show for the foreseeable future. I'm hoping that he gets back up and running full speed here soon. So
yeah,
but that was pretty cool. Got to see them, and it was fucking packed, dude. So many people were out there. It was nuts for a Monday night. I was like,
yeah, the High Dive's kind of a small venue, isn't it? Small
a little bit. It feels smaller because it's split in half. Because like the bar, and then like you kind of go through like a dividing wall over to where like the
pretty
stage
sure I've
and
seen
stuff
you
is.
play there before.
Yeah, we love the High Dive. The High Dive is one of the best venues in Denver. If you haven't been down there, go check out the High Dive and go see some live music.
Fuck yeah.
Or just in general, it's a fun bar to hang out at. But yeah, it's pretty cool. So we did that last night in lieu of band practice. We had a little bit of a band outing.
Yeah, field trip for you.
Yeah, a little band field trip. Cool. Yeah, doing some schmoozing with the radio folk and whatnot. So
networking, man. That's
networking.
Cool. Fuck yeah.
Network.
Spreading those webs.
Yes, sir. What about you? How was your weekend?
Yeah, it was pretty good. We cooked some good steaks on Saturday night. Some New York strips. Your nephew approved, so I was happy about that.
Yeah, he sent you a very lengthy explanation of why he approved.
He seems like he's got a big affinity for the culinary arts, man.
Yeah, you tickled his fancy.
I think he maybe is like a food reviewer or something.
He's a foodie.
Yeah. But yeah, that was a good time. And then Sunday, of course, we had a good time going to Don's, seeing the Don's family, man. Just shout out to Don's, man. They take care of us. Like I've said before, like there's no other place I'd rather watch a Chiefs game. It is.
As much as we talk about them, they better start supporting us soon.
They should. They should reshare this, definitely. Shout out to you, Jen. But, man, it was wild. I think I'm still recovering. I'm a little tired today. But, yeah, it was nuts, man. It was a damn good time. But, yeah, it was something I will never forget. It's always crazy around this time of the year on my time hop. I see, like, pictures from the years before where we've just, like, been in the playoffs and everything. And, you know, we'll get into it a little bit later. But life is good right now.
Yeah.
Life is good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm happy for you.
Yeah, you are.
But yeah, that's cool, man.
Yep, that's pretty much about it.
And that brings us to now.
Yep, it is.
Where we are for episode 70. So
yeah, time to recap and preview some more sports.
Yeah, man, let's get into it. Let's get into the headlines as we cruise right along.
Headlines! Get your headlines here!
That's right. It's time for headlines, and we're going to start with the NFL. There's not that much this week in the NFL. There was a good chunk of coaching hires and non-hires and people staying put. So we'll start it off with the big one as the Chargers lured Jim Harbaugh away from the Michigan Wolverines.
Yep.
And he is now the head coach of his former team.
Yeah. I didn't realize he ever played for him, but that's
he's
kind of
now
interesting.
Played for and coached for two teams.
He said yesterday whenever he met Justin Herbert that he was starstruck.
No. He does have luscious locks. So
Oh, yeah, Herbert's got some pretty cool hair.
Yeah.
It's like that Disney character hair.
I remember when he was a rookie and they made him shave his head and he looked like a goober.
Yeah. Yeah, he doesn't look the same.
I know, so.
Yeah.
But why don't you take us to the next coaching hire?
Well, the Falcons finally found their dude, Raheem Morris, who was the defensive coordinator for the Rams last year. And that, really proved to be a defense that, kind of scrounged together a pretty good season towards the end of the year. They started off in a slump. I think they were like 2-5 at one point, but finished the season really strong and ended up making the playoffs. Gave the Lions a run for their money towards the end of the year.
Yep.
And good for him, man. And he's going back to the Falcons, where I believe he's actually the last. I don't know. I didn't realize this till the other day. So those like handful of coaches, McVay, Kyle Shanahan, McDaniel.
He's the last one.
He's the last one to finally get a head coaching
All
job.
of them are head coaches now. The 2012 Washington Commanders, well, back then they were the Redskins.
Yep.
Every one of those like offensive assistants and defensive assistants now is a head coach.
Yeah.
And Mike McDaniels,
He was
LaFleur,
McVay,
Shanahan,
Yep.
Raheem Morris.
He was, I think, the
Bobby
D-backs
Slowick was one of the guys on there. I
Was
think.
he really?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, he was like a lower assistant.
Yeah, he's
so,
up for assistant coach of the year.
Yeah, so
Yep.
that's pretty cool for the Falcons as they try to move forward. I also heard now that since the vacancy has opened up for the Rams, that Brandon Staley is now going to go and head back and try and be the defensive coordinator there. So,
is that official?
he's going to go interview, but
Yeah.
it sounds like they may bring him in since they've got the old vacancy there. So
Maybe they could get Vic Fangio in there since he left the Dolphins.
that's true. Well, I heard Vic might go to Philly.
Oh, wow.
'Cause
Yeah.
that's where he left as a defensive. I think he was like a consultant or something last year
Yep,
after
I
he got
remember that.
fired. So
Yep.
I think he's going to head back there. But again, none of this is for sure. One thing that did happen last week that we didn't mention was Antonio Pierce hired by the Raiders. They do the smart thing and make their players happy, and I mean, I think he deserved it.
I think so,
considering
too.
turning them around the way
Yep.
he did after McDaniels tried to ruin that organization as well.
Their
So-
defense turned it around. I mean, that was a top 5 defense after he took over. Their offense needs a little work, but I think if he can get a good offensive coordinator, I don't know if they're still using the same one from last year. I don't remember who it is, but I think if they can maybe even like draft a QB or something like that, because I don't think Aiden O'Connell.
You don't think Aiden's the
I
answer?
don't think he's the answer. No, he's had shining
Derek
moments.
Carr light.
Yeah, he's Farva. That's who he is.
He
dude.
does look like
is
Farva.
Definitely Farva.
Said a liter of cola.
Is that powdered sugar? It's delicious.
Speaking of McDaniels, I just thought about this. He doesn't have a home now.
Oh.
Papa doesn't have a home, and therefore baby boy doesn't have a home. So McDaniels now is going to be on the lam probably for this year. I don't know if anybody's going to bring him in.
Well, speaking of the Falcons, I heard that's maybe why they decided not to go with Belichick,
Because he's like, McDaniels is coming
he
with.
said he was going to bring in Patricia for the defensive
Yeah.
and then McDaniels for the offensive coordinator, and they're like, dude, we've seen that doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, look what Patricia did to
Yeah.
the Eagles.
Like,
He
come
ruined
on,
their
dude. It's not
defense.
2011 anymore. Well, someone's doing some vacuuming.
A little vacuuming.
Yep. All right. To the Panthers, they sniped a division guy.
Yeah.
The offensive coordinator from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Dave Canales.
Yeah, they snag him. He did a really good job with Baker Mayfield. I mean, turned Baker into a guy who we all pretty much thought was done after the whole debacle in Cleveland, and then going to the Panthers. Now, I guess Canales is there, so maybe that's where Baker ends up. You never know.
Right.
Think about that.
Yeah, I did not expect for Baker to do this well this last year.
No, I don't think anybody did.
Yeah. I think the Panthers, they got something there, but it's going to take a lot to try to. I mean, you're going to maybe have to figure out a way to get Bryce Young to grow 3 inches.
Yeah,
Put
well, they do.
25 pounds
I think
on
you
him.
can. You can get your legs lengthened now for reals.
Yeah, there's some weird shit happening.
Yeah,
out
they
there.
like basically break your legs and then put like a cage around it so that your bone can grow together.
Yeah.
pretty cool.
I'm sure there's no problems with
Yeah.
that.
It's like the South Park episode, I
don't remember that
You
one.
remember that one? Where Stan basically turns into a black guy in the NBA.
Oh my god.
It's pretty funny.
Oh, that's awesome.
They use testicles to make his knees. Like, I don't know.
Only South Park,
Yeah.
dude. I love it.
That's it for the main coaching hires. There was a few things that happened today, though, in terms of non-hires, where Ben Johnson for the Lions decides to stay and run it back. So they're going to do it again. And you brought it up, Eminem. Now
He's pretty pleased.
yeah, he gets to take a break from writing his diss track.
Yeah, he had a really funny tweet where he was like, "Well, I guess I'm going to stop writing this diss track," and gave some props to Dan Campbell and said he's really looking forward to, next year. But I mean, if there's any celebrity to have on your side, I'd say it's Eminem. That's
Yeah, I'd
fucking
take
sweet.
it. You guys got Taylor Swift and they got Eminem. What are you gonna do?
Good rivalry.
Yeah. Also, Bobby Slowick decides to stay with the Texans, so that's pretty good for them there as well. So
man, that's crazy because he could have possibly gone to the Commanders or something.
Yeah,
too.
well, I mean, with Ben Johnson, they said that everybody was saying that he wanted like 15 to 20 million as a starting point, and everybody was like, "No,
Yeah, well, you
Like,
gotta
we're
see
not
what you're
gonna-
gonna do first,
I'm
man.
going to give Belichick that much money."
Speaking of that, the Bucks. I know we're shifting sports here, but I just want to get this out before I forget. They're now paying 3 coaches:
no, nice, yeah,
Boldenhauser, Griffin, and their current coach, Doc Rivers.
yeah, that's great. For them.
Not bad. Dude.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of NFL teams that are paying a lot of coaches.
The Raiders, dude, especially the Raiders.
Yeah, so
So right now the only vacancy left are the Seattle Seahawks and the Commanders.
yeah, and we'll see who ends up going there. They might be getting some college guys or something because they're running out of options in terms of NFL dudes. So
There's not too many,
gonna
unless
be-
Pete Carroll's still wanting to coach.
he may be. I don't know.
Yeah, who
He
knows?
likes to chew gum and run around a bunch for being 67. So
And Bill Belichick likes to murder reporters. Whatever.
he talks them to death very quietly.
Just with his stare.
Well, that's going to do it for the NFL. Let's move into the NBA.
Let's do it.
Take it off. Outlet. Rain dance.
Sandy, come on. Sandy.
T. Come on.
This is me every time I play basketball. I'm burning.
Well, Chad brought it up. It's a pretty good segue as Doc Rivers, the new head coach of the Milwaukee Bucks, loses his debut to the Nuggets 113 to 107. After the game, he preaches patience. In a situation before the game, he said he wouldn't wish on anybody else taking over a team in the middle of the season. So we'll see. He has one of the worst records in Game 7s in the playoffs.
Oh, he has
I
the
think he's
worst record.
7-10 or something
Yeah.
like that.
He's the only coach to lose a 3-0 lead, I think, multiple times in the playoffs.
Yeah, one of them was to the Nuggets.
Yeah, that's true. But I didn't realize that this is Giannis's 4th head coach.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I
Pretty
know he's
wild.
probably been there probably 8 or 9 years, I think, something like that. But I mean, we're starting to run through him like LeBron.
Yeah, and it did sound like there was a blow up after, I forget what game it was. I think it was in the in-season tournament. There was a blow up in the locker room where I guess he went off and was like, "What defense are we running? Like, what are we supposed to be doing? We need to come up with a plan." And I guess he was basically calling out Adrian.
Wow.
So that is why he is gone and Doc is there. So we'll see if Doc can turn the ship around and right things going down the stretch here, as we are, I believe, 1 week away from the All-Star break. So
Yeah, they got a lot of defensive strategies to fix because Dame, for one, like you mentioned this morning, doesn't play defense. And if you're going to go up against the Celtics or the 76ers in the playoffs, which is more than likely going to happen, you got to have to play some defense.
Yeah. Well, another thing, too, Dame, his entire career in Portland, has been the one handling the ball, and Giannis is now the one tasked, well, has been the one tasked with the offense running through him. And I think we are seeing a little bit of Dame not really knowing what his place is, and I think that is another thing that Doc is supposed to figure out is how to make this work, because it hasn't been working. And like you mentioned before, the defense has been terrible. What are they, like 23rd in the NBA in defense or something like that?
I think it was 27th.
Yeah, 27.
Yeah, it's even worse.
So, they've got
Crazy.
some issues, which is nuts, as we were talking about. They're sitting in second place. I don't know where they're at right now. We'll go through the standings here in a little bit. But, to be in a situation like that and now be dealing with a head coach change, we'll see if this ends up crashing and burning or turning around. So, what do you got next, Chad?
I want to talk about the game that I watched. I think it was last Saturday night. The Warriors versus the Lakers went to double overtime. First time against Steph and LeBron that it's gone to double overtime. I guess in their head-to-head matchups, they were 10-10, so it was even, and then LeBron got the better of them. Man, this was a super exciting game. I don't really like to focal flashpoint focus, whatever, on one particular game, but this was a super entertaining game to watch. Curry hits a 3 with like 4 seconds left to send it to overtime, and then they tie it up, go into double overtime, and then no, that's what happened. Is in the second overtime, Curry hit a 3 to take the lead, and then with like 1 second left, LeBron drives in and then gets fouled, hits 2 free throws with 1 second left, and that pretty much wins it.
Yeah.
And you brought up a very interesting stat today that I thought should be brought up on air. Do you have it available?
Let me see. I think I do have it somewhere.
Because in this game, I just want to preface real quick. The Warriors were complaining because I think they shot 16 fewer free throws than the Lakers did, and that's what happens every game. So
yeah,
take it away.
And this was from the Rockets game. The Lakers were playing the Rockets, and the broadcaster Billy Mack threw this little stat out. The Lakers have shot 233 more free throws coming into this game than their opponents this year, far and away ahead of the second-place team, the New York Knicks. But this is the crazy part. Oddly, though, the Lakers are dead last in drives to the basket, which that doesn't even make sense. That means it's all like perimeter fouls. That just means you're touching LeBron and AD. And
if that doesn't explain it right there, because that's always the first thing that like someone will argue is if they're getting more free throws, oh, well, they're a team that drives to the basket more. This proves that it's the Lakers and LeBron, so they're going to get their calls, and it's just complete bogus, man.
Yeah, it is, but still, I mean, as much as we hate, giving LeBron his flowers and whatnot, at 39 years old in that game, he did set his own career high for rebounds with 20. So
he did have like a 30, 20, and 10 game. He had a 40-point game in that. No, it was Curry that had a 46.
He had 36.
Yeah, Curry had 46, but I mean, them two dueling back and forth, like it was really entertaining. No matter how you feel about either of them, if you just are a fan of basketball, it's definitely worth watching. But we would be remiss if we didn't bring up that right now, with 4 minutes and 51 seconds left to go in the second quarter, the Lakers are losing to the horrible Hawks. So that's funny.
In their face. Another thing, too, we mentioned this before we got going, but LeBron also is now tied with Klay Thompson for number 7 overall for three-pointers made with 2,350. And three-pointers weren't really something LeBron did early on. It wasn't until a little bit later that he started really shooting three-pointers. So he could be higher up this list if it wasn't for that fact. But I'm sure he's still going to keep creeping up this list as he continues to play, probably for another 2 or 3 years for all we know. So what else do you got? Oh, well, also on Saturday, since you brought up this last one, I'll roll into one. It was, what were they calling it? Rivals Saturday, isn't that what NBA was billing it as? Yeah. Rivals Saturday,
we played
Rival
the
Day,
Sixers.
yeah. So the Nuggets were set up to play the Sixers, and it was finally going to happen. Embiid wasn't on the injury report, and everything was all set to go. 2:30 rolls around, the game's at 3:30, still good to go, and then right after 3 o'clock, all of a sudden something happened. And Embiid is out of the game for some reason.
Did you hear about the MVP odds after this?
Oh, yeah, they dropped it significantly.
It completely changed. So I listened to Zach By's podcast this afternoon, and I had no idea that they shifted like they did. Mm-hmm. So going into Saturday, Embiid was the heavy favorite for MVP. I think he was like at minus 110 odds or something.
Yeah.
Then after he ducked Jokic, and then again on Monday night missed a game in Portland because he wanted to make sure.
They had to legitimize him actually missing Saturday.
I missed Denver for a reason, just didn't skip Denver. That now, like we brought up earlier, takes it to where he's only got 5 games left before he isn't eligible for the MVP. So then after he missed the game against the Nuggets on Saturday, the odds shifted, and now Jokic is the heavy favorite.
Yeah. Well, I mean, think about this. There's I think 37 games left.
Yeah.
And Embiid can only miss 5.
And he's questionable tonight. Yep.
Well, if they were smart, they would have just put him down as questionable for the rest of the season. And then there's no issue. But the fact that they left him off is now what screwed them, and now they have had to put his MVP nod in question because they had to legitimize, like I said, the fact that he sat out on Saturday, and now tonight against the Warriors he is questionable.
Yep.
Which, like I said, they should have just done this whole time.
And I doubt he's going to play because it's in Golden State. And, it's still on the road trip, and I just think it's hilarious because I think it's him purposely doing this to show I can still ball out and be the MVP, but not get the MVP. I'm in it for the championship, but I guarantee he ain't getting to the finals.
What Jokic did last year when he was like, I really don't care about the MVP, except it's the truth.
Jokic wasn't ducking games. Jokic just really wasn't. He really wasn't like stat padding like Embiid does. He's not getting to the line 20 times a game.
Yeah,
but I think that's what's happening. But I mean, the whole point of this is Embiid saying that, like, I don't care about the MVP. If I miss these games, whatever, I'm just in it for the championship. Guarantee you that motherfucker ain't even making the Eastern Conference Finals.
No, not at this rate. And it's.
I think the Knicks are better than they are at this point.
Yeah, that's the thing. They're gonna have to go up against the Knicks, the Celtics. I mean, it's a murderer's row in the East when it comes to the playoffs, and they don't play in these games that are playoff atmosphere like what Saturday would have been had Embiid played.
Exactly.
And had Embiid played, they probably would have won that game.
I really think so because the Nuggets didn't really win easily. It was a struggle for pretty much the whole game.
Yeah, and you could blame that on the fact, Malone brought it up when you find out 20 minutes before a game that all that you've been planning for is now off the table. It does kind of throw a wrench in things, but yeah, they didn't look like they were too excited about being there for that game. And cheers to the fans in Ball Arena as they hilariously trolled Embiid, chanting, "Where's Embiid at?"
Yep.
And then when he did finally decide to come out and sit on the bench, which I think there was like 5 minutes left in the game or something like that, it was hilarious to see the crowd just give it to him and him stand there and wave and try and act like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, he just loved it, like laughing about it and shit like that.
Yeah, it's like, well.
Yeah. Who's got the chip? Who's the reigning champs, bud?
Yeah, I hope if he does make it to the finals, it's going through Denver, and it would be hilarious to have to see him come here 3 or 4 times. So
it would be great.
Indeed. Well, Chad, let us move on to the next headline in the NBA. What do you got?
Well, last Friday, it continued. If nobody was aware, last week was the anniversary of Kobe hitting 81, and boy, did the players try to honor him. So we mentioned last week how, Karl Anthony? Yeah, Embiid scored 70, then Karl Anthony Towns scored 62 on the same night.
In a loss that he got benched in.
Yep. And then on Friday night, Luka tops Embiid by scoring 73. And then Devin Booker also scored 62 that night.
Yeah, I think Devin Booker last week was averaging like 40 points a game.
He was player of the week in the West. But then also last night, Luka went off again, scored 46 points, and then Tim Hardaway added, I think, like 39.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the Mavs are looking pretty scary right now.
They are. And the West keeps getting tougher.
It does, yeah. But, pretty impressive. 73, there's a lot of interesting graphics or memes out there that was like the number of 70 or 60 point games from 1980 or whatever to 2000. There might have been like 6.
Yeah.
Now
that's why Kobe was so special, because like that 81 game had been so many years since anybody scored that much.
Yeah. I think the last time before him was Tracy McGrady at like 62. I know Jordan scored 63 against the Celtics, like his rookie year, I think it was, or like the first time he played the Celtics in the playoffs. But yeah, this is just, it's unheard of. I mean, these guys are scoring out of their minds right now.
Yeah, and I was listening to a couple different podcasts today and whatnot, getting ready for the show, and a lot of people are talking about the fact that you have all these big guys, these 7-footers now, that you normally, back in the day, if a 7-footer is on the court, he's pretty much only going to score in the paint. Mm-hmm. And now you've got these, 7-footers that if they're open in like anywhere outside, they're going to shoot the ball and more often than not make it. I heard a crazy stat. Brook Lopez, who damn near dismantled the Nuggets himself the other night with his 3-point shooting. His first 8 years, he shot 31 3-pointers.
Wow.
He's been in the league 19 years. From then until year 19, he shot like 2,300.
Oh, wow.
So
he's
you
upped
could
it a lot.
literally see the shift at like his 8th or 9th year was when the big guys started shooting, and they're like, oh shit, you actually have a decent stroke. You need to start shooting it all the time. And now you see it's spreading out the defense to where these guys, especially like Embiid, can get into the paint easily and just annihilate people because you're so spread out. So yeah, I mean, it's a sign of the times. It's kind of like in the NFL where all of the rules are for the offense anymore, and it's kind of the same in the NBA, and I think we are going to have to see eventually a shift here soon to try and mandate some of this stuff, at least change it to where it's a little more fair to the defensive guys to be able to stop some of these people.
Yeah, I wonder what they're going to have to do because, I mean, right now, a really interesting stat is the fact that, like, there's more offensive possessions per game, like by a lot, than there were back then. That's why when the topic of load management gets brought up, one of the good arguing points is, well, these guys are playing more possessions than they ever have. So their body's taking a toll and stuff like that. And then so obviously more shots go up, more points get made. It's turning into NBA Jam, dude.
Yeah, basically, which we all love a good NBA Jam.
You're on fire.
He's heating up. Is it the shoes?
Such a good game.
Well, real quick, we're going to jump back over to the East as there are a couple of players returning just in time for the All-Star break, as Tyrese Halliburton is looking to return tonight in Boston for the Pacers after missing 11 games with moons over my hammy. And then also Ben Simmons for the Nets is returning and will play for the first time in 38 games. Well, he did return for the first time in 38 games and looks impressive with 10 points, 8 rebounds, and 11 assists. So, yeah, good for Ben Simmons. He is much maligned over there in New Jersey for the lack of time he plays, actually.
He's already questionable too.
Yeah, so, well, he came back, and then now he's got to rest again.
Yeah. Well, the Knicks, man, ever since they traded Terry Rozier, like we were just talking about, they've turned things around. They've won 7 straight. They whooped up on our Nuggets the other night.
Nuggets didn't want to be there for sure.
No, they didn't, but it was tough to watch. I could take a loss, but by 38, that was pretty rough.
That was one we both were like halftime. We're like, nah.
Yeah, I don't need to watch much more of this.
Not going to waste any more time.
But pay attention to them. They're now second in the East.
Yeah, so let us, do you have anything else?
I got just one more, another good team.
Son of a gun.
The Clippers, since they got James Harden, have just been rolling. They had that 6-game skid where they lost 6 in a row. Now, the Clippers are 22-4 since December 1st. And they handed the vaunted Celtics their worst loss of the season the other night, 115-96.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, the Clippers. Clippers are playing good ball.
Yeah, we're gonna have to probably play them. I mean, if it all shakes out now, I mean, we wouldn't, but they're gonna be right there in the logjam. At the top
they're gonna be right there in the playoffs at the end.
Yeah, you guys hope the Nuggets don't finish in 3rd or right around there, because that's probably gonna be right around where they are. But let's get into the standings real quick. We'll run down the top 6 in both conferences. In the Eastern Conference, we have the Boston Celtics with 36 wins, 11 losses. They are 7-3 in their last 10 games. Behind them is the Milwaukee Bucks at 32-15. In 3rd place, we have the Philadelphia 76ers at 29-16. And Chad just mentioned the New York Knickerbockers. They are in 4th place at 30-17. And then behind them, you've got Cleveland Cavaliers, surprisingly, in 5th place with 28 wins, 16 losses. And then in 6th place, the Indiana Pacers, who we just mentioned, are getting Halliburton back, sitting at 27 wins and 20 losses.
And they're getting spanked right now.
No, are they? What is the
they're
score?
playing the Celtics.
The Celtics?
I changed it to the standings so I could cover the West if this would finally load. But I'll get back to that.
I'll go to the scores.
All right, the Western Conference. The Timberwolves still in first at 33-14. Then the Nuggets right behind them, just a half game back at 33-15. And then the Oklahoma City Thunder, who the Nuggets take on, who's it, Thursday night?
Tomorrow night.
Yeah, okay, tomorrow night at 32-15. So the top of the West is real close. And then the LA Clippers, who we just talked about, also at 30-15, 2 games back. And then the Kings at 27-18, and then the Phoenix Suns at 27-20 in the 6th spot.
Yeah. I'm surprised the Suns are still hanging down there in the 6th spot and haven't moved up yet, but they are. I don't know about that team, to tell you the truth.
They're so up and down. Yeah, it's crazy. But, yeah, the Warriors, dude. The Warriors aren't even in the play-in right now.
Yeah, which is insane.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Warriors, too, I did want to quick mention one thing. Steph, the NBA all-time three-point leader, is going to face off against Sabrina Ionesco, the WNBA single-season three-point record holder at the All-Star game this year. So that should be pretty cool. A little man
Girls
versus
versus
woman.
woman,
Yeah. Girls rule, boys drool, or however you want to look at it. Watch her beat him. That'd be crazy.
I think that'd be so cool.
She probably could,
Oh,
Who
yeah, I
knows?
bet so.
But going to the scores real quick, let me run down them. As if you're watching after this fact, this has nothing to do with you. But the Lakers are behind the Hawks 67-56. Even Chad just mentioned the Celtics are up 81-63 on the Pacers. Then the Knicks are up 57-49 on the Jazz. They're at halftime. The Bulls are up 31-27 on the Raptors, and then the Warriors and 76ers are in that primetime slot at 8 p.m. So you are right.
Oh, TNT.
Embiid probably won't play. It's prime time. It's against. Well, you know what though? The Warriors aren't good this year, so he might play.
He'll play
so
against
he can
the
stat pad.
That's
get
what
his
he's gonna
another
do.
30-point game.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, definitely. Let's move into the NHL now. All-Star Week is this week, February 1st through the 3rd. It should be pretty entertaining. I do like what the NHL does with the All-Star the All-Star Weekend. So they're doing an All-Star draft, which will happen on Thursday. NHL stars will be the captains along with celebrity co-captains. There are 4 teams. There's the Austin Matthews team, which consists of Austin Matthews, Morgan Riley, and the Biebs, Justin Bieber. Team McDavid, which is Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, and Will Arnett, the old actor.
Oh, that's funny.
Team McKinnon, which features Nathan McKinnon and Cale Makar. You get teammates there.
That's
and
cool.
Tate McRae, who I think is a country singer, but I'm not entirely sure.
I don't know.
And then Team Hughes, which features brothers Quinn Hughes and Jack Hughes and singer Michael Bublé. Unfortunately, Jack Hughes will not be participating in the All-Star stuff this week because of an injury, so bummer for him. But yeah, and then there's the All-Star Skills Competition, which apparently has a revamped format. It's going to take place on Friday night. So that one's usually cool because you get like the speed skating and
They got a cool skills competition.
Yeah, so it's one of the better All-Star weekends to watch and
I think
actually
so,
take in and enjoy, because most of the time it's just a joke. But yeah, so that's happening this weekend. What else do you got, Chad? You got some things.
Well,
for
you
the,
just brought up
hacky.
Austin Matthews.
Hacky.
I forgot to mention this before when we were talking about everything. He's up to 70 goals so far this year.
Or 70 points, I think.
70
Yeah.
points. But he's playing out of his mind right now, and he's on pace to beat the record.
Yeah, the reason I know it's points is because he just reached 40 goals before the All-Star break.
That's what it was. So he has a possibility, because he's on pace to reach 70 goals, which nobody's.
Yeah.
There's been very, very few select company that's ever hit 70.
I'm sure fucking the great one did, but
I think they mentioned on PTI he never did.
Really?
Yeah, and then Brett Hull, he did, and I think there was one other guy.
Dang.
Oh no, there was 2. Yeah, but I can't remember their names.
Well, you know what? We'll do a little more research next time, and we'll tell you who they are.
But Austin Matthews is playing really good.
He is playing
for the
really
Maple
good.
Leafs.
The Maple Leaves.
Yep.
Some bummer news. The New York Rangers just found out center Philippe Schiedel will miss the remainder of the season due to complications with an upper body injury. He hasn't played since November 2nd. He had 6 points in 10 games this season after a breakout season of 22 goals and 45 points in 74 games last year. I guess they'd been waiting for him to return from his native land because he was rehabbing there, and he returned and went to practice, and he fell down, I guess, and that's what happened. I guess he fell down and just laid on the ice for minutes, and then they took him off the ice, and whatever happened to him is stemming from whatever the dreaded upper body injury is that he has. So bummer for them, as he's going to be out for the remainder of the season. And he said right now these last few months have been some of the most difficult time of his life. So hopefully all is well there. And it's not something major, because that's weird when you just fall over,
Yeah, that's a little scary there.
What else you got?
All right, well, USA Hockey will mandate neck protection for players under 18 effective August 1st.
Yeah, and I'm surprised they weren't the first for the under 18 kids, because we did see in all of the international hockey stuff, they decided to go to wearing the neck protectors, which is just, all it is like a sleeve like a carbon fiber sleeve that they wear on their neck right here to stop what happened in I think it was England, wasn't it? It was overseas.
Yeah, it was overseas.
I think his name was Adam Jones.
Where a guy died.
Yeah, he got slashed in the neck and died from it, and this is all stemming from that to try to quell any sort of crazy injuries like that happening on the ice going forward. So good for them on mandating that. Going to a weirder story in the NHL. 4 NHLers have been asked to surrender to police in London, Ontario, in regards to a sexual assault. I think this all happened when they were on Team Canada for the international stuff. New Jersey Devils center Michael McLeod, Philadelphia Flyers goaltender Carter Hart have been charged with sexual assault in London, Ontario on Tuesday. Also, Cal Foote, McLeod's teammate with the Devils, and Dylan Dubé, who we mentioned last week, actually just went into the player assistance program, is one of these guys as well. So they've
to do with that.
Yeah, they have been ordered to surrender as well. And then there's a former NHL player, Alex Formenton, who's playing professionally in Switzerland, who's had to turn himself in. All 5 of these guys were members of Canada's 2018 World Juniors team. The London Police Department launched an investigation in 2022 after TSN reported that Hockey Canada had settled a lawsuit with a woman who said she was sexually assaulted by 8 members of that team after a gala celebrating their gold medal win at the World Junior Championship. So stuff is happening, and there is looking like these 8 guys are all going to go down for this.
As they should.
If they're guilty, by all means, they should throw the book at them. But they're all going to be dealing with this as all this now is coming undone. So that's a bummer story. We hate to report on stuff like that, but unfortunately, the news is the news.
Yeah.
So, bummer
better
stuff.
news for Edmonton.
Yeah. They keep winning, don't they?
Yeah, they keep winning. It's crazy. They're on a hot streak right now. They've won 16 straight. And after the All-Star break, they'll have a chance to break the record.
Yeah, which is...
they're 1 win away from tying the record of 17, but they got to wait till after the All-Star break. So it's kind of interesting to see if the All-Star break's going to kind of throw a little momentum shift in it.
Yeah.
It's a bad time for the break to come around.
Yeah, it is. And that is one we've always talked about that. I mean, you get those breaks, even like the Super Bowl with the fact that there's 2 weeks. It's like, that's a lot of time when you're on a momentum thing to be like, okay, now we get a week off, and then we're going to be preparing for the Super Bowl.
Or especially the college football playoff, man. That's almost a month.
Yeah, you haven't even been playing football. You're just
like, who do we play again?
It's tough when stuff like that happens, so we'll see if they can continue that. Let's cruise down. Do you have anything else, or we're going to cruise down the standings? Let's cruise down the standings real quick. We're going to hit the top team in each division. In the Eastern Conference, we have the Atlantic Division. The Boston Bruins continue to be really good at hockey. They now have 31 wins, 9 losses, and 9 overtime losses for a total of 71 points. They are 7-1 or 7-1-2 in their last 10 games. Moving into the Metropolitan Division, the New York Rangers. They are sitting at 30 wins, 16 losses with 3 overtime losses for 63 points. They are 4-5-1 in their last 10. Moving into the Western Conference, we've got the Colorado Avalanche in the lead of the Central Division. 32 wins, 14 losses, 3 overtime losses for 67 points. They are 7-3 in their last 10. And then let's move into the Pacific to round out the Western Conference. You've got the Vancouver Canucks with 33 wins, 11 losses, and 5 overtime losses for 71 points. They are 8-0-2 in their last 10. So they got a couple of those overtime losses in their last 10. So getting those nice points from getting into overtime, which is a bonus for hockey. You just get a point for making it. So
Yep.
the consolation point.
It's a little bonus point.
That's all I've got. Are you good there?
Yeah, I just want to give an update on the scores. It's
No,
pretty
let's talk about it.
uneventful right now. The Blue Jackets are taking on the Blues.
The BJs.
0-0.
BJs taking on the Blues.
Yep, but then later tonight on ESPN Plus, the Seattle Kraken take on the Sharks, and the Sharks are horrible at 13-32-4. So probably an easy win for the Kraken there.
2 scary sea creatures face off on ESPN Plus.
Probably going to be a little mini shark.
We're going to touch on the MLB real quick, and then we're going to get into some college sports, and that is it for headlines. But in the MLB,
Vaughn, a juvenile delinquent in the
We need to listen to
offseason
this
in his
first.
Major League debut.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Vaughn into the windup in his first offering. Just a bit outside. He tried the corner and missed.
Bob Uecker, speaking of which, the announcer from Major League, who we just heard, turned 90 last week.
Wow.
90
Damn.
years.
Good for
young.
him, man. Still thriving.
Still thriving
That's
and
cool.
surviving. But the reason we are going to the MLB was there was a prized Jackie Robinson statue, a bronze statue that was in McAdams Park in Wichita, Kansas, that was stolen last week. A couple of people up to no good
That's
cut
awful.
the statue down at the ankles, and it had been missing for a week. And then I guess, let me see when it was. I think it was last night, or no, today around 8:40 a.m. They found the statue burning in a dumpster. So someone, I don't know, someone's being a dick, basically.
That's Wichita for you, though, man. There's more crime per capita in Wichita than any other city in Kansas.
Dang.
Yeah.
I guess, let me see here. League 42, which is named after Robinson's Dodgers number, paid about $50,000 for the model, which was installed in 2021 in McAdams Park, where roughly 600 children play in the Youth Baseball League. It also offers educational programs. So someone's just being a real piece of shit.
Yep, that's
and
unfortunate.
ruin a good thing. And, Jackie doesn't deserve that, man.
Not at
Broke
all.
the dang color barrier.
Yep. Actually,
That's probably what
speaking
it's
of-
over, is probably some racist bullshit.
Yeah,
But
definitely probably what it's
people
over.
being
Speaking of
ignorant
baseball news,
assholes.
though, just on the ticker here while I'm watching these college
Tell us
basketball
about the
games,
ticker, Chad.
looks like the Baltimore Orioles, the ownership's going to sell the team.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's pretty surprising.
pretty crazy.
Wonder who's going to buy it.
It's a
Probably
historic
another
franchise
super
there.
rich guy.
Yep.
Or girl.
I imagine.
Lady.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably
But-
a really rich group.
Yeah, probably. I'm surprised Dave Portnoy hasn't tried buying a team.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, he's all Boston, so all those teams are pretty well locked up.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see where the Orioles end up getting bought, or maybe someone's going to move them. Who knows?
Yeah, I hope they don't move them. I've always wanted to go to Camden Yards. That's
It
that's
is
a
one of the
historic stadium there.
ballparks.
Yep.
Well, that's all for MLB. Let's get into college sports, which we still have football, but we'll figure out a
That's all
more
over.
all-encompassing.
Red 18. Needle dick. Needle dick. Needle dick.
Makes me shudder every time.
Every time.
Well, Chad, this is your wheelhouse.
Yep.
I'm going to let you take us down the college sports, basically college basketball, men and women's.
All right. Yeah. Last Thursday, we went out to eat at Steakhouse, and on the TV, it was a hell of a good game. It was number 1 South Carolina taking on number 9 LSU, the reigning champs, LSU. Angel Reese, the celebrity basketball star on that team, who had to take a leave of absence earlier this year. And I think she's still dealing with some shit she's got to work through because they had a big lead up on South Carolina, which would have made it a really good upset. Then I think like 7 or 8 minutes left to go in the second half. She fouls out, and then South Carolina just takes over and ends up winning the game.
Yeah.
And then so they remain undefeated. They're still number 1, and they're a powerhouse to beat. It's going to be tough.
Yeah, we'll have to see what they can do. Their coach likes to wear crazy clothes.
The LSU coach,
Yeah,
Malarkey.
Kim- is it Malarkey?
The Malarkeys or something like that. Kim Malarkey, I think is her name.
Yeah.
She had a really crazy, and actually LSU lost again to Mississippi State. Actually, just a couple nights ago.
I don't think her name's Malarkey. Oh, Mulkey.
Mulkey.
Kim Mulkey.
That's what I like to
That'd be
call it.
hilarious if her name was Malarkey.
Kim Malarkey.
Yeah, if you haven't seen what Kim Mulkey wears on the sidelines, you should check it out because she wears some wild shit.
A lot of it's sequins.
Yeah, she I think last year in the NCAA, she had it looked like she was wearing a flamingo.
Yeah, it looks like
a
a
crazy
bird.
pink bird.
And feathers coming off of her. It was wild. Well, let's shift to the men's. Just going to run through the rankings right now. Number 1 is UConn. Number 2 is Purdue, who survived a scare last night. And then number 3 is UNC, who's playing right now. Last I checked, they were up pretty big. And then number 4, Houston, who takes on KU this Saturday, who's ranked number 7. And then number 5, who's not number 5 very long because I picked them to win on my parlay today. Didn't work out. They just lost to the men's South Carolina just a few minutes ago. So they're going to be falling out of the top 5.
They ruined his parlay.
Yep.
And they ruined their top 5 dreams for now.
So that is it. But it doesn't look like there's any big dominant teams other than Purdue and UConn so far in men's basketball. It's anybody's, guess who's going to get the number 1 seeds.
Yeah, well, we'll let that play out. But in the meantime, that is the end of headlines.
It is.
And we are going to take a quick break. And you are about to hear Flight Kamikaze. The name of this tune is The Other Side. If you haven't yet, please go like and follow Flight Kamikaze and all things streaming wherever you get your music. And we will be right back. Give us a little time to ourselves. And we are back. Chad wasn't even ready. He's just chilling.
Surprised me.
Yeah, we are back for the second half of the show. You guys just heard Flight Kamikaze. The name of that song is The Other Side. If you haven't yet, like I said before the break, please go like and follow them on all things streaming, and make sure to visit flightkamikaze.bandcamp.com to find out when they're playing next if you're in the Denver area, or if you really like them, you can purchase the music directly from them, whether it be their album or digitally. So you can also get your merch through there as well. So check them out. Make sure to buy some stuff, support them, and hopefully their fans support us. Chad.
Hey, you said
Yes.
it best whenever we first had them on that first week, man, that you compared them to Coheed and Cambria. Kind of like their sound. I don't want to pigeonhole them too much or anything like that. But I was a big fan of Coheed and Cambria back in my younger days, and I sound like an old person, but I saw them a couple times. So if anybody out there is a fan of Coheed and Cambria, I guarantee you're going to like Flight Kamikaze. Good stuff.
Yeah, definitely. So we thank them for being the featured music guest for the music break this month. This is the last time they will be featured. So until next time, we thank you guys, and hopefully you guys enjoyed them. We will have someone new next month, which will be next week. So
That's right.
here we go. It's time for NFL Deep Dives. We only have 2 games to deep dive.
Yeah.
Exciting stuff. We're getting down to the end.
Next week only 2 weeks from now, only 1 game.
Yeah.
Now that's football. You get it? You get it? You like it? Come on.
I think the Sentinels just set a record for penalties.
Set a record for penalties. Yeah, so it's time for the deep dives of Championship Sunday.
Yep.
I don't know what cool thing we're going to name this episode. There's not as much stuff for Championship that's fun. You know, that sounds fun.
Yeah. We'll think of it.
We'll think of
it.
something.
Yeah, but we're going to start off with the NFC so we can finish off with the best. But in the
of
first
course.
one, the game that was the Sunday night game, we all saw the Lions jump out to a 24-7 lead. And we all thought, oh, we're going to possibly see Usher get bumped. We were texting about it. We were like, wow, we may see Usher get demoted from the halftime, and we may see a Taylor Swift and Eminem halftime.
There's no way it would blow people's minds.
People wouldn't be able to handle it.
Explosions. I dropped my phone.
But it didn't happen.
No.
Because, the third quarter but from the Lions was just atrocious.
It really was. And like you just mentioned, it's a tale of two halves. They could not do anything right in the second half. And, case in point, the improbable deflection off Kendall Vildor's face mask that flew into the hands of Brandon Ayuk for a 51-yard pass.
Unbelievable.
It wasn't just things going wrong for them. Luck was not on their side anymore. I don't know what they did at halftime, if someone broke a mirror.
I think it was the ladybug, dude.
Yeah, that's true. Brandon Ayuk said a ladybug landed on his shoe prior to the game, and he knew that it was done. It's a wrap, dude. Ladybug luck, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So Purdy, who had been labeled a game manager all year, everybody's, can he do it? Can he win a game? He needs all of his weapons to succeed. He actually rallies his team from behind, and it's the second time in as many weeks that he did so.
Hell of a comeback, dude.
Yeah.
It all started with that pass to Ayuk. If that goes incomplete, that game's a way different game.
Yeah, because, it ended up beginning a 17-point run in 8 minutes to not only tie, but pull ahead in the fourth quarter to win the game.
Yeah.
Purdy did it through the air and with his legs. He had some huge conversions with his legs, 2 21-yard runs, ended up with 48 yards total scrambling.
And it was 51, but the kneel downs set him back under 50.
Again, dude, we talked about it.
They need to change that. That's a stupid stat.
Same with if an interception hits a guy in the hands, it shouldn't count against the quarterback.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll ever change that.
But he ends up finishing the game 20 for 31 for 260 yards and a touchdown, and now Mr. Irrelevant's taking on this generation's GOAT in the Super Bowl. So
it's amazing. Yeah, I was telling you just before we started getting recording that before watching this game, because obviously the Chiefs game was first, I wanted the Lions to win. And, who didn't? They've never been to a Super Bowl. A lot of people may not know is before the merger, they were a powerhouse in the NFL before the AFL joined. Yeah. I think they had won like 4 or 5 NFL championships and gone to a good handful of some. But as soon as that merger happened, they fell off.
Yeah, it all went downhill.
Yep. Yeah. But yeah, I wanted them to win, and then after they jumped out to a 24-point lead, and I'm watching Jahmyr Gibbs and Montgomery run all over the 49ers, I was like, no, I do not want this team.
Yeah.
And luckily, the 49ers came back because we've beaten them before, and I think we can do it again, but it ain't going to be an easy task by any means.
Yeah, you mentioned David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. The Lions had 148 yards in the first half with touchdowns from both of them. And with a field goal late in the first half, the Lions went into halftime with the 24-7 lead and the biggest scoring output for a road team in a conference title game in history since said merger. So,
oh, wow.
Which is, crazy that they end up losing by 3.
It's nuts, and a lot of people, that's been the talk of the week, is criticizing Dan Campbell on those fourth down conversions. He went for it on fourth downs during this season far more than any other coach.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy's got – you ever seen, talk about South Park, the medical marijuana episode where they've got to cure the big balls.
Yeah, they all they give themselves testicular cancer in the microwave so they can get on medical marijuana.
It's so fucking funny.
But yeah, I mean, Campbell's had the biggest balls all season. You can date it back to, I think what got him was that Thanksgiving game where they didn't end up hiccup there. We are back.
What were we talking about, Chris?
We were talking about Dan Campbell's balls.
Oh yeah, those heavy balls that he's got.
Voluptuous. No, but he's done it all season. He's gone for it on fourth down, and unfortunately in this game, I think this could be just him being a newer head coach without the lack of with the lack of experience in the postseason. I think he should have, and he probably would going forward, just take the points.
Just take the fucking points, man.
Because you take the points, you put the pressure back on to San Francisco.
Yeah, because he could have gone up 27-7, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and then they had a chance to tie it midway through the fourth with a field goal, but they decided to go for it on 4th and 3 from the Niners 30. Goff throws an incomplete pass, and then San Francisco drives for the game-sealing touchdown at the end. So, and we're talking about momentum and stuff. When you go for it and don't get it, especially with a team that's fighting its way back, you're just giving them even more momentum heading into whatever drive or whatever's going on in the game for them. So. It was a bummer to see them fall apart like this.
It really was.
We'll talk a little bit more about the heartbreak of being a Lions fan a little bit later on here in the DDOE. But back to the Niners, though, they can run the ball really well, too. McCaffrey had 2 rushing touchdowns. Elijah Mitchell also had the game-sealing touchdown with 3:02 left. Christian McCaffrey ends up with 20 carries, 90 yards, the 2 touchdowns I just mentioned, and 4 receptions for 42 yards. Deebo Samuel 8 receptions, 89 yards. Brandon Ayuk, he had the one insane deflecting catch off of the cornerback's face mask. He ends up with 3 receptions, 68 yards, and that touchdown right after that, which started the scoring streak. So, yeah.
It's unbelievable, man. 24-7, and they blew that lead. And it's crazy. You got to really hand it to Kyle Shanahan because he has had a reputation of, before the Packers game, he was 0-30 going into the fourth quarter when they were trailing. Now, after that, they were 1-30, and then he's done it again, 2 games in a row.
Yeah, they did it again, huh? Yeah.
It's crazy because it all dates back to, even though he wasn't the head coach, it dates back to the Patriots and Falcons. It's like
28-3.
Yep, 28-3. It's like, the play calling when he starts to get behind and get frazzled, it really falls off. But I think it really was Dan Campbell that kind of, and Ben Johnson, and a lot of people thought that his head coaching inquiries might fall through after that, but they definitely didn't. I think he just wants to stay in Detroit. But
it's hard for these guys, especially, you get these offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators, and you go on a run and then they're gone the next year. And it's really hard to keep momentum going.
Case in
now
point,
you've got
the
a
Eagles.
new guy coming in everything's different. He doesn't call the game the same way. I mean, calling a game is a lot about feel and just,
tendencies too.
Yeah, so it's hard to keep stuff going when you're constantly shuffling in and out offensive and defensive coordinators, especially for these young guys. I mean, you look at some of these young quarterbacks, they've had 3-4 offensive coordinators in their first before their rookie contracts.
I think Baker's had like 5 or 6 at this point.
Yeah. Well, in Cleveland, I mean, there was like a new one every 6 weeks.
Yep. Now he's going to have a new one next year too. But I mean, to just kind of circle back and recap the Lions, I really think in the big picture standpoint, their future looks bright. And a lot of people criticize Dan Campbell. He had some really interesting words afterwards where apparently he spoke to the media and he told the media that after the game, he told his players, you guys, how was it verbatim? He says, you may not get here again.
Yeah, he basically just kind of came out and said, like a lot of things had to go right for them to be in the position that they were in this year. And he said it in a way that sounded a lot more like finite, like there's a good chance we won't be back here again.
Yeah.
But I agree, dude. I think if they all of their weapons are on rookie deals.
Yep. They're going to give Jared Goff a new deal.
You're going to have to pay Goff probably 30-some million at least.
I would imagine so.
But you can afford that right now.
Yep.
And for sure for the next 2 years at least. So I think their window's 2 to 3 years.
I think so too.
But yeah, and even like Goff in this game, 25 for 41, 273 yards and a touchdown.
Dude, they were shredding the Niners.
David Montgomery, 15 carries, 93 yards, 2 receptions, 20 yards. Jahmyr Gibbs, 12 carries, 45 yards, 1 touchdown. Sam Laporta, 9 receptions, 97 yards. Amon Ross, 7 receptions, 87 yards.
Yeah.
Jameson Williams, 2 receptions, 25 yards, 1 touchdown,
Jameson
1 carry,
Williams,
45 yards, 1 touchdown. Like, that's just if I read that to you and you didn't know what happened, if I just read the stats to you, you'd be like, oh, fucking
the Lions won
by what, 20?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they were doing whatever. I think, what was it? They scored that first opening drive, 2 or 3 plays?
Yeah,
I think it was a 2 or 3 play drive.
Yeah. I think it was like 2 or 3
But,
plays.
I mean, they really have all the weapons in the world. It doesn't seem what they have to do, where they really have to work on is the D-line and the defensive backs. But, I mean, their rush defense, I didn't realize it until 2 games ago. They hadn't given up a 70-yard rusher all year long.
That's crazy.
Now it's changed with McCaffrey getting 90 yards, but I mean, that's Christian McCaffrey. But, I mean, their rush defense is great. They just need to get some better D-backs. C.J. Gardner-Johnson needs to stop running his mouth and play a little better. But
and Chase Young, I think, was a little bit he had a couple, decent upticks, but I think he was a little bit of a letdown for what they gave up to.
I think he's been a letdown for the hype around him when he first came out, too.
Oh, yeah, everybody is like, he's like the greatest D-end ever to come out. Well, outside line, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I mean, he was just 2 years outside of Nick Bosa.
Yeah. When he came out, everybody was like, this guy, like, you couldn't this is like a create a character,
right?
Guy to rush the passer, and he's had nothing but issues.
Yeah.
A crazy thing to talk about, though, just in terms of future, just talking about the Niners. Imagine trading 3 first-round picks for a guy that never plays for you, and you're in the Super Bowl. Like, 2 years later?
You talking about McCaffrey?
No, I'm talking about them trading all of those picks for fucking
Trey Lance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they traded 3 first-round picks for a guy they draft in the first round, number 3 overall, who never plays a snap for them in the regular season, basically.
No, he did. Yeah, it was
you're right. He did
the Bears game, but it was
That's right.
super rainy. I think it was.
Yeah. So, but I mean, just to have that not pan out, and then you'd be like, dude, you're screwed for 5 years, and they're in the Super Bowl.
And they're in the Super Bowl.
So it's crazy.
Man. It's nuts. That's John Lynch.
Yeah,
man.
kudos to John Lynch, and kudos to Shanahan for picking John Lynch.
They just draft so well.
Yeah.
Charvarius Ward's been just killing it on the defense for them. That defensive line is just nuts. I mean, yeah, the Chiefs. We're going to preview the Super Bowl next week. We'll do a real good deep dive into that. But
Yeah.
it ain't going to be an easy game for either of these teams. But I mean, that 49ers defense is real.
Yeah, it's not the Super Bowl we were hoping for. It's the Super Bowl Chad's hoping for because the Chiefs are there. So regardless,
Right.
But in terms of just like watchability, there's way more storylines in the other matchups. But I still think this is going to be a good one. I mean, I just said it right there, Mr. Irrelevant versus Patrick Mahomes. That's a
right
crazy
there. And
storyline
it's a
in
rematch,
and of
you know?
itself. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's a rematch from 21. So
Here's a kind of wild thing for you. Just the matrix is kind of broken. Last time we played the 49ers in the Super Bowl, it was a leap year.
oh my God, it's a leap year this year.
It was an election year. Biden and Trump.
Oh my God,
Biden and Trump again. It's a leap year again. Shh. Where's the cat, dude?
Oh my
Just
God,
like the Matrix,
dude.
We're in the Matrix. Watch, 4 years from now, it'll be the Chiefs and 49ers again. Yeah. And Biden and Trump again.
And Biden's just going to be
just
like
wilting away.
They just wheel them out on dollies and just set them up there.
Oh my God.
Or they'll be like in Futurama, they'll just be heads.
Yeah. I love that shit. That's fucking funny, dude. They're just talking heads because Nixon was the president in that shit.
Yeah. Well,
Good times.
let's move over to the AFC side of things.
Let's do it.
Where the Chiefs... Oh, do we ever say the score? The Niners won 34-31. I don't know if we ever actually said the score. But moving over to the AFC, the Chiefs defeat the Ravens 17-10. Mahomes' first road playoff game in 6 years, and he wins. Handily. Well, I mean, not necessarily handily. He did all he had.
First road playoff?
Isn't it?
Second.
Oh,
road
second.
Playoff.
That's
the
right.
Bills, yeah.
That's right. The Bills was the first one.
Yep.
But this was the first time he had to play on the road for the AFC Championship, so that's
true.
technically a correct stat still.
Yeah.
I'll make it work.
Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, so Lamar, who's going to be the MVP, did not look right this game.
No.
And we kind of talked about it too. I think the Ravens came in way too hyped up.
Well, yeah, and I told you about it, that one of the videos that really, sorry to cut you off, but
How dare you.
To touch on that, it really says a lot about the two mentalities of the team. And this is what I love about Andy Reid so much. It's the video of, and it was really cool, of John Harbaugh trying to dance. That shit was hilarious.
Yeah, he looked like a goober.
You know, all the players love it. It's great that he does that with his players. But you don't do that after the AFC, after the divisional round.
Yeah.
You don't do that until after the Super
Yeah,
Bowl.
if you make it to the Super Bowl, the AFC Championship game, okay.
Yeah, dance around a little bit,
Yeah.
whatever. But they acted like they had just won the Super Bowl. It was like a dance party in their locker room. And it was funny because they played before the Chiefs. And after the Chiefs won their game to go to the AFC Championship, that was the first thing that Andy Reid said before he broke down the huddle. He goes, "No dancing today, boys. We got more work to do."
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I mean, we saw that last year too. Not to go to talk about ourselves in terms of the Nuggets, but after the Nuggets won the finals, well, not the finals, the conference finals, they didn't even really celebrate. They're just kind of like, whatever. Like, you could tell, like, ESPN and ABC were like, "Hey, guys," like, and they're just like, "Yeah, okay, cool.
We got more work to do.
This isn't what we want." So
Yeah.
it's on to the next thing. And the Ravens were acting like they hadn't been there before. You had the Justin Tucker thing setting up next to Mahomes. And that little back and forth they had. You had the couple scuffles before the game started.
Yep.
You had the Zay Flowers meltdown, which to me was the defining point of the game because they had been struggling so much for momentum. They come out, they go 3-and-out. The Chiefs go out, score their first two drives, and then you have Lamar just struggling to get any sort of like rhythm or momentum in the game. They finally do the huge touch or the huge pass to Zay Flowers.
Yep.
He gets the taunting call on L'Jarius Sneed, and then you have him get the ball punched out by L'Jarius Sneed in the end zone for a touchback, just completely eradicating any and all momentum they had. And you could just tell they were broken after that.
I think the experience of the Chiefs being in so many AFC championships and big games really speaks volumes to and the big difference between the Ravens. because this is a team that's never been in the AFC Championship, never hosted an AFC Championship game. They haven't been in one since 2011.
They did host one, but it was when they were the Baltimore Colts.
Okay. Yeah.
It was in 1971.
So thank you.
But yeah, so that was the last time. But yeah, this was the first time as the new Ravens.
Yeah. So I mean, all these players on this Ravens team, this is the biggest game they've been on. This is the biggest stage they've had. There were, I think, 5 penalties that were over 15 yards on them.
Yeah,
4 unsportsmanlike conducts, and I mean, a lot of them, and coming from a Chiefs fan, I'll just say it, it's obvious. Everybody will always go, oh, it's the refs. They're trying to help them out. But I think I don't think anybody can argue a lot of those unsportsmanlike conducts were them losing their temper.
Oh, the one with Kelsey, I was like, you know what he's doing.
Yeah, he's baiting you, man.
Yeah, he baited
and
the hell out of him.
Laughed his ass off afterwards. It was great.
He's like,
that to me,
shit, you fucking idiot.
That is just a perfect example of Kelsey, who has been there and been flagged for that stuff, knowing what's going to happen. And he, the experience plays far into that. And yeah, like we talked about the Zay Flowers thing, man. It's like, dude, on this type of stage, this is not where you flip the ball up, ball
you
at
push
the defender.
L'Jarius Sneed down,
and he pushed
then he
him
stands
down.
up, flips the ball, and he's like flexing on him. And dude, you're down in this game. What are you
who's
doing?
the guy that caused the fumble on Zay?
L'Jarius Sneed. That was the play of the year, if you ask me.
It definitely was. There was a lot of beat writers for the Chiefs that said the same thing. That was the play. Because if to give you a little timeline of the game, I think in the fourth quarter, that would have put the Ravens up. It would have been 17-14, and a lot of the momentum would have been shifted to them. And, I mean, it's crazy because, I mean, we've got to mention the Chiefs' offense stalled out in the second half. We didn't score any points in the second half.
Well, yeah, I mean, you look in just to start the game, Mahomes completed his first 11 pass attempts, which matches the number that Kelsey had in terms of targets and receptions.
Yep.
As he went 11 for 116 yards and a touchdown.
Yep.
He had the huge unsportsmanlike that he baited, and then
after the 7th catch, he passes Jerry Rice for the most.
It was
postseason.
152.
I don't remember the number,
I think it's
actually.
152.
Yeah, but he passes Jerry fucking Rice for the most career postseason receptions.
Yeah, he's had a hell of a postseason run here, and this was just a nice little cherry on top.
He was catching some great balls, though, man. I mean, that touchdown.
I don't know, did it get tipped or what happened? Or Mahomes was getting hit, that like fucking fluttery ball. He made the diving
it didn't get tipped.
on.
Mahomes just scrambles around, does what we call the Mahomes magic, and just flips it up. And, I got to mention what Andy Reid said about it. So Kelsey dives and catches the ball. It was a 3rd down, I believe. Mm-hmm. And Andy, after the game, was asked about that diving catch, and he said, I've never seen Kelsey dive like that. I didn't know he could do that.
That's pretty funny.
I love how he always gives Kelsey shit for being old.
Yeah,
that shit cracks me up.
Just to flip it back over to Baltimore real quick, want to give flowers to Kyle Hamilton. That guy played his ass off.
He played
all
a hell
game,
of a game.
everywhere. He had that one blitz on Mahomes where he sacked him, and I was like, dude, that guy is playing his ass off.
I think he was all pro this year. Pretty sure.
Other thing to mention, the crazy thing, Lamar's tipped pass to himself for a 13-yard first down.
Nuts, dude. So, if nobody knows, back, I think it was when the Patriots lost to, I don't remember. It was when I was watching The Man in the Arena, but there's a very famous quote from Giselle, the ex-wife of Tom Brady, when they lost in, I think, the playoffs or the Super Bowl, and it was Wes Welker, right? It was Wes Welker that dropped a bunch of passes. And Giselle made a very controversial statement after the game, speaking to the media, saying, what's he supposed to do, throw it and catch it himself? Well, Lamar does.
Yeah, he did.
He just
when that happened, I saw it up in the air. It was up in the air for so long. I was like, "Oh, dude, this is getting intercepted." And I'm just watching it, and then all of a sudden you just see him like run by, like scoop, and he's just
And I don't know if you saw the other side of the replay. Justin Reed was
he was
right there. But
they were all looking up, and Lamar's just making a play on it.
Dude,
I was like,
that's an MVP. That's why he's going to be the regular season MVP for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Also, I mean, in terms of you mentioned regular season, Lamar is now, what is he? I have it here somewhere.
Are you talking about playoff record?
Yeah,
2-4.
Damn it, 2-4. Yeah,
Yep.
I have it written down. I just lost it.
Steel trap, bro.
Yeah, you got it. 2-4 in the playoffs, and this was their best chance to do it. They had Mahomes come into their house, and it didn't matter. So.
I think what we really got to talk about here before we wrap this up is the Chiefs' defense, man.
This is the battle of the two best
really
defenses in the NFL for all of the year. Well, the Chiefs came on a little bit later, but I mean,
no, throughout the whole year they were pretty much number 2. They finished number 2 in points per game.
Yeah.
But what diehard fans out there might were aware of, the Ravens, when it comes to DVOA, the advanced metrics and analytics, they were top 5 all time in defense. They're the first defense to ever lead the league in sacks, points per game, and turnovers, all 3 categories. I mean, this is a historically great defense.
Yeah.
And it proved it. In the second half, the Chiefs still weren't doing shit. But I think it really goes to show, and I was telling people at Don's, I said, when our offense was kind of lacking, I really wasn't that worried. I said, our defense carried us throughout the year. They're going to carry us to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and Mahomes basically just had to game manage the second half.
That's it. Yep.
And that was all he did.
And he actually spoke to that in the press conference afterwards. He said, I really learned how to...
Yeah.
Damn it, I can't remember verbatim what he said, but it was pretty much that. Just like how to manage the game when our defense is rolling is what he said.
Yeah.
But, did mention some stats. 4 sacks on the game. George Karlaftis played his fucking ass off. I love this dude out of Purdue. He goes by Furious George. That's his nickname. Had a double-digit sack this year. Let's see. Justin Reed had a sack. There were 3 turnovers on the game. Charles Omenihu, who we do have to mention when it comes to injuries,
tore his ACL.
It was a weird play where he swung his leg and it hit somebody. Really unfortunate because he was the one that forced the fumble, and then George Karlaftis recovered it. But yeah, I mean, we shut down the Ravens. They got held to a field goal in the second half. That's it. And the pass deflections, I think there were 5 pass deflections. It was just unreal. I mean, that defense, I got to mention, I didn't want to forget about this. Before the game, all of the defensive guys were wearing shirts, and I love this new style, dude. I want to order. You see a lot of guys wearing this shirt. You saw it with the CU Buffs. It's where it kind of resembles that old 90s style, like a Master P album.
Yeah,
that's what it looks like, dude.
It's like a collage almost, but
just big, bold letters that are shiny. It said, "In Spags We Trust," with demon eyes for Spags. All the defensive guys wore it. He was asked after the game, how you feel about it, and he was like, oh, I was really humbled, a little bit embarrassed, but I really appreciate these guys. And Ryan Clark, after the game, I was on Twitter for 2 hours after the game. I was just in heaven, man. I think I retweeted 50 things. It was bad. But anyway, one of them that I really liked a lot was from Ryan Clark's, believe it or not. And he said, Steve Spagnuolo is the best big game defensive coordinator, because if nobody knows out there, we'll give you a little reminder. He is the one that stopped the perfect Patriots in 2007.
Yeah,
he was the defensive coordinator of the Giants that stopped the Patriots, and I think held them to 21 points in that game. It was a very far low. But I mean, when it comes to big games, I mean, he really can dial up a game plan. And really what we did in this game, I always say we, but I mean, I always feel like I'm there in spirit. But they ran pretty much I think 70% diamond nickel, where they just backed off and then did contain, and then let the D-backs kind of just cover everybody, and then they were just daring Lamar to run the ball, and I think he was just trying to prove to everybody that he was a pocket passer, and we saw the results of that.
So things felt well, and they also, I mean, outside of Zay Flowers, they don't really, I mean. Oh no, Beckham didn't show up. They had some issues there with wide receiver not really showing up. But
we can really talk on the play calling too. I mean, I'm sorry. Obviously with this being the Chiefs, I could go on about this game for an hour at least. But the thing of it is, I'll try to wrap it up on this. I mean, the play calling, dude. Todd Monken has called such great games all year long. When he went to the Ravens, I specifically tried to draft their tight ends. I wasn't able to get him in fantasy because this is a guy, if you remember, Brock Bowers is going to be a top 5 pick from Georgia. This is a guy that really utilizes tight ends.
Yeah.
And here's a stat for you. Going into the AFC Championship, Lamar Jackson had a passer rating when targeting tight ends of 137.
Yeah, it was insane.
Dude, Isaiah Likely, and before Mark Andrews got hurt, I mean, dude, they
he
were
also
having
had some stat line that was crazy for being under pressure, too, this year. It was like he had a 70% completion percentage under
Yeah,
pressure.
I remember that. Yeah.
Something like that.
But what I wanted to get to is they only ran the ball with their running backs 6 times in this game.
Yeah, well, while we wrap this one up, I'll run down the the top players of the game, just in terms of stats. Patrick Mahomes, 30 of 39, 241 yards, 1 touchdown, 6 carries for 15 yards. Pacheco, 24 carries, 68 yards, and a touchdown. I forgot what he had in terms of receptions. Travis Kelce, 11-11, 160 yards and a touchdown. Moving over to the Ravens, Lamar, 20 of 37, 272 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 8 carries for 54 yards. He was the leading rusher. Gus Edwards, 3 carries, 20 yards, 1 reception, 16 yards.
Yeah.
And then Zay Flowers, 5 receptions, 115 yards, and the touchdown, 2 carries, 4 yards. But yeah, they're one of the best running teams all season long.
They were the best. They were the best running team of
they
the
were
whole
ranked
league.
number 1, yeah.
And you give 6 carries to your running backs. That's
crazy.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, game script comes into play there, but, really, I mean, we jumped out to that 14-7 lead, but it's like, there's still plenty of time. You don't have to abandon your game plan or your identity as a team.
Yeah.
Real quick, the last thing I'll mention, Rashee Rice, man. This guy has shown up and been the breakout star for the Chiefs all year long. 8 receptions, I think only 46 yards, but I mean, came through clutch. I was really worried on a huge stage like this. Is the rookie still going to be able to continue his good play, be reliable? He was so reliable. I know he had third down conversions. It's not like he had a whole lot of yards, but his catches were super valuable. 8 catches. It's a hell of a day. That's a good game, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he's going to do in the Super Bowl.
Has been the breakout star for the Chiefs and just a wide receiver room that has been barren of talent this year.
And I'm just going to keep going, dude. This is like bias buzzer beater 10, 20 minutes. MVS. We got to talk about MVS.
He doesn't catch many, but the few that he does catch
are only in the playoffs,
are to seal games.
For 3rd and 9 to seal the game, we get a first down. We can kneel it out. Patrick Mahomes off his back foot just tosses it up right over the defender. And MVS, I did not think he was going to catch this ball. He was falling down as he caught it. Unbelievable. All I can think of is Dumb and Dumber. You sell the van, you sell the sheepdog van, and then you come back with the motorbike. That's MVS right there.
Totally redeem yourself. All right.
That's it. Okay.
You can see Chad pitching a tent on the stream right now. It's ridiculous.
Just get me a pillow real quick.
Yeah. It's time to move on. Like we said, we will be covering the Super Bowl next week and deep diving the Super Bowl. I was pre-diving the Super Bowl, if you will.
Yep,
So
a little preview.
So it's time now, though, for the end of the show. We've gone probably a little bit longer than we have in recent weeks, but it's okay. It's now time for John Daly. He's going to hit it hard, man.
I hit it hard, man. So far, man. No laying up, no holding back. Ain't afraid of nothing, it's a natural fact. I hit it long, man. Till it's gone, man. Keep taking chances, live it large. I hit it hard.
That's right. We hit it hard each and every week here on Fringe Fanatic Sports Podcast. And as always, John Daly is our, mascot, if you will. And every week we like to feature a little bit of excellence at the end of the show for the Daily Dose of Excellence, named aptly for our mascot, Mr. John Daly himself. And this week we are featuring Mr. Benjamin Capp. Chad, give us a little rundown on Mr. Benjamin Capp.
Who is Benjamin Capp, you ask?
Yeah, who is he? Is he related to Benjamin Button?
Close. He is an old guy like him. 89 years old right now. He has been a season ticket holder of the Detroit Lions since 1958. That's insane.
That is crazy.
Yeah, Cap's name came into the spotlight during Detroit's postseason run in 2023. His love for the Lions stretches back decades, however. A native of Grosse Pointe, Michigan, Cap represents the oldest of the old guard of Honolulu Blue enthusiasts. He purchased his tickets in 1958, a year after the Bobby Lane-led Lions vanquished all foes to capture their last NFL championship, like we alluded to earlier. They used to be good.
Yeah.
Yep. Cap initially bought 2 tickets. He added 2 more while Detroit played at Briggs Stadium. He made it 6 when the Lions settled into the Pontiac Silverdome. He reduced his outtake to 4 when Detroit moved into the Ford Field back in 2001, setting up shop in Section 108, Road 24. That's pretty good seats.
Yeah, that is really nice seats.
Yeah. But we could go on and on about him, but I mean, really the story of this, 66 years. He's held on. I mean, that's as a season ticket holder for the Detroit Lions. That's through countless losing seasons. That's an 0-16 season. That's having Matt Stafford and Calvin Johnson and not being able to do anything. Talk about a fringe fanatic. A guy that has been a diehard faithful. To me, this is the best representation of a fan you could possibly think of, man.
Well, it's just been nice this postseason to see all of these Lions fans just going through the motions. I mean, he got to witness the first playoff win after being a season ticket holder since the 50s. You get to see all these guys who've grown up probably their whole lives our age dealing with just a terrible team. And there's guys that are openly crying, hugging each other in the stands, probably being more emotional with a stranger than they are with their own family and significant others.
Yep.
So it's been cool to watch that. And this guy is one of the ones that has gotten a lot of run, especially on X. He's been the talk of the town, especially after being focused on during the playoff run here for the Lions. And it's just cool to see, man. It's one of those things where you realize sports goes a little farther than just sports. It's not just watching people play a game, there's people that are having like actual connections in the stands. And that was one thing Meryl brought up. She's not big into sports, and even just going to the games is a little much for her at times, just in terms of how intense it is. But she's like, it is cool to see all these people just like for 3 hours, just like
the camaraderie, man,
be all together for something, even if it is something as dumb as a sport.
To speak on that, his quote says it best, I believe. It really hits on what you're talking about. He goes, "For us, it was about family," Cap said. "It's the game of football that we like. We each played football in high school. I played junior varsity, but Stan made it to varsity. But it's a game we all enjoy. All of our friends and buddies, and everybody loves football." And that's what I'm talking about, man. I mean, that's why I love going to Don's. I mean, after they win, dude, I literally walk around the entire bar high-fiving everybody.
Yeah.
Some of them are strangers. Some of them are guys that I only see from Don's.
Yeah.
And I've got good friends that I know from Don's now. And, I mean, that's just it. It's like Don's can be a tight packed place. It's not your typical sports bar with 50 TVs everywhere and stuff like that. But what I say to everybody after games is like, it's about family, man.
Yeah.
I mean, if they asked me tomorrow to go like help them move, that's what I would do. And that's why I loved what he said when Cap was like, for us, it's about family. Football's like the spark to it. It's a way to get around to it. But it's no different than going over to Europe and then kicking around football or soccer. They have the same type of camaraderie. Humans need that, or we're just going to go to war and kill each other. So, Andy Reid has a quote that I love so much. When he was asked about international games, like when we went to Germany, he said, "I wish all countries would play football. Then we wouldn't have wars. We would just play football."
Yeah, that's how you settle things. Yeah,
you
our
can't
team
say
versus
it
your team
any better, man.
Yeah, and I mean, this show was born out of that. Really, I mean, we obviously don't love the same teams, but sports is what brought us together in general, and started us hanging out outside of work. And
right there,
and now, he
fucking
punches the
hitting
mic.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's what has brought us together and made us now start a podcast. So it just goes to show you, sports runs a lot deeper than just the surface stuff.
It does, man. It's just the spark.
Indeed, and I think on that note,
Well, hats off to you, Ben Cap.
yep, we're going to give a hats off to Mr. Ben Cap. We're going to give a hats off to each and every one of you that tunes in or listens each and every week. We appreciate and love you all greatly.
Yeah.
Chad Lee.
I hit it hard.
I fucked some shit up right there.
Tune in next week, guys. We'll have a big Super Bowl preview, and who knows, we might even have a guest on. We've been trying to give Greg a lot of shit because we need some bets.
Yeah, we need some locks. We're also going to try and just get some new guests for some other stuff to talk about.
That's true.
Until next time, guys, we love you. Cheers.
Love you guys.
We'll see you next
Cheers.
week. Toodles.
Love you, buddy.
Love you, man. Bye-bye.